All right, everyone. I appreciate you coming on into this Facebook Live. We are going to talk about our storm ready alert days and the dangerous heat that is on the way. I'm going to let a few more people join the live before I get started here momentarily. So as we wait for a few more people to join, want to say that I hope you're having a good week so far. We have gone through a lot, but we're going to continue to push through, especially after some of that heavy rain last night. We had some rain today. We're going to have the chance of rain tomorrow, severe weather on Saturday. Then the heat really takes over for the weekend into early next week. So I see a couple more people coming on in, so we are going to get started. It is officially less than or about a day still away from the first official day of summer. So that actually begins tomorrow. The summer solstice is at 10:42 p.m. on June 20th, which is tomorrow. We are not going to waste any time to get into the summer-like temperatures and the summer-like conditions, which is why we do have that storm ready alert day in place for Sunday and Monday. That's when the worst of the heat will be. On either side of those days, still going to be hot. Not going to likely have heat index numbers getting to 100, but still well into the 90s. It'll feel hot on Saturday, very hot on Sunday, dangerously hot on Monday, then still feeling very hot and quite uncomfortable Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I want to take you through why this is happening. So we have a ridge of high pressure that is going to build on into the Great Lakes. You can see this big area of red, and that is our heat dome. So this is a ridge up in the atmosphere. It's essentially an area of high pressure that is right above the surface. Now, what is happening is high pressure is quiet weather. It's sinking air, and when it does so, it is going to warm things up quite a bit. So when we have the quiet conditions, the sun is allowed to pretty much bake us essentially under this heat dome. So I want to give you a few more details on that dome of heat. So hopefully you can read this on your screen. But this is from the National Weather Service. So a heat wave forms when we have high pressure aloft, which we are going to see, and that's about 3,000 to 7,600 meters up above the surface. So a little bit more above the surface, 10,000 to 25,000 feet above where we are right now. It strengthens and remains over the region, which we're going to see Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe even on Wednesday and Thursday, and could even be upwards of several weeks in some cases. Not likely going to be weeks for us, but it is going to be an extended stretch of hot conditions. It's common in the summer, but we've seen some in the fall when we've had our record-breaking heat in October and November. And this is essentially the jet stream, which is going to buckle its way on up into Canada, allow for this high pressure to build on in, and then we see the sun pretty much baking us underneath it. The summertime pattern is very slow, so it's going to be a slow-moving wave, not going to move out very quickly, which means we have that several-day stretch of very hot and uncomfortable and at times dangerous conditions, because under high pressure, the air sinks. So that sinking air is not going to be conducive for clouds, for rain showers that would keep us cool. It's really just going to be like we're put in an oven, and that's why it's going to get very dangerous. This cap is going to help us to trap heat as well overnight, because usually at night we start to see this heat moving on out, but unfortunately not going to be the case as we continue to only really get down into the 70s, which is going to make it feel a little bit more uncomfortable out there, especially because it's a little bit harder to effectively cool yourself when those overnight lows are still very hot in the 70s to around 80. We're not likely going to have any significant shower thunderstorm activity, especially Sunday and Monday, when we have our hottest temperatures at 95 and 96 respectively, likely going to be close to record highs. Sunday has the best chance of breaking the record. I don't think we're going to break the record on Monday. We'll probably be a degree or two shy of that. But I would say we could definitely challenge the record on Sunday and also on Tuesday. Tuesday, there is the opportunity of maybe getting back into the mid-90s. It's really going to depend on how much shower and thunderstorm activity we see coming in from the north as that ridge starts to break down a little bit more. Where we are likely going to break records is going to be with our overnight lows. We're at 76 for the forecast. So that's how cold it's going to get the entire day on Sunday. So from midnight to midnight on Sunday, our coldest temperature is going to be 76 degrees. So anything above that, it's going to be way hotter, way more uncomfortable. Record is 71, same thing on Monday. Record is 71, 75 is the coldest we will even get. That is, we're not going to get any colder on Monday than 75 degrees, and then 74 is that low temperature we're expecting on Tuesday, which could break a record there as well. We have this heat risk. It's a product that is given to us by the National Weather Service. It just kind of gives us an idea of how significant the heat is going to be on our body. So once we start to get into the orange, red, and especially the purple, those are very significant conditions. That's going to put a lot of strain and stress on our body. So for Friday, just a minor risk because we will have temperatures in the 80s, but it's nothing unlike what we've gone through so far this week. So if you've handled this week pretty easily, we should not have any issues on our Friday. As we get into Saturday, we start to see some moderate heat risk because we'll see high temperatures getting closer to 90. We have had some days close to 90 with some higher humidity, so Saturday should feel a lot better than what Sunday and Monday and Tuesday are going to be. But this is also cumulative. When we have several days in a row baking us pretty much under that direct sunshine, this heat risk is going to continue to go up because we don't have that great of an opportunity, especially with those warmer overnight lows, to effectively cool ourselves off. So we're cumulative with this heat, which means that heat risk goes up on Sunday and it gets to that extreme level at times and in spots on Monday. A lot of us will be in that major to extreme category Sunday, Monday, and also into Tuesday. Wednesday is where we start to see some breaks. We start to see a little bit cooler of an atmosphere and potentially Lake Huron helping to cool us off a little bit more as well. And then as we drop into Thursday, things will start to get a little bit easier for our bodies to handle still some of those warmer temperatures. And we're likely going to cool things off back into the 80s. What we need for a heat advisory is a heat index of 100 degrees or more. When we start to get into the 105, 110 region, that would be that extreme heat warning. What we're likely going to have happen is the heat advisory for several days. I would say the heat advisory is likely for at least Sunday and Monday. We'll see if we need one on Saturday or Tuesday, but Sunday and Monday we're likely going to have heat advisories and maybe even an extreme heat warning for us with that, those hot temperatures to also go along with the higher humidity. When we are getting into these heat waves, now a heat wave is 90-degree days, 3 days in a row or more. So 90 degrees, which we're going to have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So that puts us firmly in a heat wave. We always want to talk about the heat dangers. So I'm going to go through all of these just so you can see them all on your screen. And we're not kind of talking about things one by one. So we're going to start off with heat exhaustion. So if you're outside for a few hours and you start to feel faint, feel dizzy, you have a lot of sweat, you are cool, your skin is not as warm as you would think maybe it would be when you're in the sunshine and how hot it is outside. So your skin kind of feels cool and it's clammy. And you also have a rapid, weak pulse and muscle cramps. That's when you're starting to get into that heat exhaustion. That's when you need to go inside, get into a cool, air-conditioned place, drink lots of water, make sure you are staying hydrated, take a cool shower, use something to cool yourself down. It's heat stroke where we really start to get into the potential dangers. Throbbing headache. You're not sweating anymore. You have red, dry, cracked skin, and your pulse is very strong, your heart is working overtime, and you may have somebody around you or you yourself lose consciousness. That's when you need to call 911 because those are the signs of heat stroke. So heat exhaustion, heat stroke, going to be very important to keep an eye out for, not only on you, but your loved ones, kids, elderly, who are a little bit more susceptible to the heat because, the younger generation and also those that are retired may not be able to effectively cool themselves down as well as the rest of us can. It's just our bodies have to work overtime to keep ourselves cool with the sweat, and it gets a little bit harder in the first few years and the few last years of our lives. Muggy meter. So the measure of humidity in the air. It's going to be back into that muggy category on Friday. Then we're in the nasty side of things. So tropical humidity Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday starts to get a little bit better on Wednesday and Thursday. Here are those heat index numbers. So this is how it will feel when you combine the heat and also the humidity. Upper 90s to low 100s. That's what we've got for several hours during the day on Sunday, and that will also be the case on Monday, which is why we do have those storm ready alert days for both of those days. Now that we're done talking about the heat, out ahead of this big bubble of hot temperatures, we do have the risk of some stronger storms. Now Friday, it'll mainly be late Friday. So it's really going to be after midnight into Saturday morning that we have the risk of strong to severe storms. You can see it's our far western and northern communities late Friday, and then for all of us on Saturday. But a lot of this activity will be in between midnight and noon. So midnight, noon on Saturday, that 12-hour time period is when we do have the risk of damaging winds. Damaging winds will be the main threat with any of those storms that are cruising on in. There could be an isolated brief spin-up tornado. That looks very unlikely. Same thing with hail. Hail looks very unlikely. Flooding, though, that's one thing we also have to watch, because we have had an area-wide 1 to 3 inches of rain over the last couple of days. And then we get another 1 to 3 inches with the potential of some of these storms Friday into Saturday. So flooding could become an issue. We may have some flood advisories, flood warnings, or even flash flood warnings, depending on how these storms stack up into our Saturday morning. So midnight to noon on Saturday is when we're going to have to watch for the potential of severe weather. Then the heat kicks in for several days. The only thing that's really going to cool us down is a breakdown of the ridge, which will happen Wednesday, Thursday, into Friday of next week. And we'll also see the chance of a few showers and storms. For the rest of this evening, we do still have the opportunity at a couple showers, pretty heavy downpours. There's a lot of moisture in the air right now. So any shower activity that is able to develop not only tonight, but during the day on Friday and Saturday is going to come with some pretty heavy rain. Friday morning, right at 8 a.m., we've got a couple showers, could have a rumble of thunder involved with this. That's going to be crossing on in as the warm front starts to kick on in from the west. So this is going to be out ahead of the warm front, could spark off a shower or thunderstorm throughout the day. Looks like the best chance, though, of those showers and storms right along this front. You can see this is a very strong line of showers and storms that moves in as we get into the morning hours. Right here at 7 o'clock, it's approaching our western and northern communities, going to be darting through, and this will likely be north of Interstate 69 that we see the worst of these conditions, but especially along and north of US 10 looks to be the bullseye and the worst of it. And you can see that this line comes through pretty quickly. It's right across our northern western communities at 8 a.m., and then it's out of here by noon. So 4-hour time frame that we're looking potentially at that line of storms, which could bring us some strong to severe winds to go along with the potential of some flooding rain. Now, we don't have a storm ready alert day for that. We may put one in for Saturday just because of the significant wind that could come out of these storms. What likely is going to be occurring is that wave is going to be falling apart. So I wouldn't expect too much in the way of damage, not only from winds, but the potential of that isolated tornado. Flooding would likely be the highest risk with any of these storms because of how much rain they are going to bring in a short period of time. Then we get into our alert days, Sunday and Monday, because of the hot and humid, muggy conditions, lots of sunshine. So you'll want to avoid being outside for long periods of time. If you do have to be outside, make sure you're staying hydrated, get into some shade, get into a spot that you can cool yourself off effectively. Still in the 90s on Tuesday, but a bit cooler. And then we get into the 80s Wednesday and Thursday with a few showers and thunderstorms. All right, everyone. That's going to do it for our Facebook Live regarding the heat. You know, we do have that opportunity for strong to severe storms on Saturday morning. So make sure you are staying ahead of the forecast and staying tuned to us. We will have the latest updates, of course, whenever you guys need them most. And we are going to be keeping a very close eye on any of that severe weather opportunity to go along with this very, very hot weather that is going to be moving on in. I hope everyone stays safe. Make sure you stay connected with us on social media and also on air, and we will keep you ahead of this heat and also the storms. Have a great evening and a great weekend ahead. Stay safe, stay hydrated. Enjoy the hot temperatures, maybe on the lake or the lake shore, but also know that you want to take those precautions just to make sure you're not putting yourself at risk.